I'm going to call this stoep rambling. I'm on the stoep with the plants. In the absence of me not being able to get to my rock for my rock rambling. Yeah, so I suppose this is just a little bit of a video blog or log of my observations around what I'm going through, my partner, friends and family, and also what I suppose I've experienced and understand around this pattern in the work that I do. So yeah, I'm finding this constant, or this constant pendulum swing between, like, oh my word, like we're overwhelmed, and I'm overwhelmed, and I don't quite know how we're going to support ourselves, let alone family and friends, and let alone the most marginalized people in our communities and our planet. And that's quite hectic because there's hardly any control. In fact, there's no control around that. And then swinging to the other side to go, okay, well, there's going to be a positive out at the back end of this. We're gonna look at our lives and the way that we treat our planet, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat people around us with different skin colors or sexual orientations. That's going to change. There's no way that that's not going to change. At least that's what I hope. And anything is possible in between. There's any reality I feel that is possible. You know, if I was somebody in a very impoverished area and I needed to take responsibility for my family's need to eat, I'd probably pillage and loot. I wouldn't have any problem with that morally. So, you know, I think any possible outcome has the potential. But what I am seeing, which is really, really beautiful and really powerful, is and having conversations with a lot of people, is that a lot of the people that I'm connecting with are trying to find their role in all of this. So what essentially this might mean for them and how they can contribute. And yeah, that seems to be a way of helping manage the stress, because what I found in service, and there's some amazing science in this, in a website called Positive Psychology, which was created by a guy named Martin Seligman. It's really, really cool around studying on how, like the people of Bhutan, who their country they have a happiness measurement. So instead of their gross domestic product, they measure their population's joy and happiness and fulfillment and contentment. So yeah, some really, really interesting studies around when we get into service, that's when we start to manage our own emotions a lot better. And I'm finding as well that I'm starting to kind of formulate what I can do, what my role can be, how I can support others in this whole process. And I think there's something in that will then allow us to take a little bit more control of the fear and the anxiety and the uncertainty that we're in at the moment. Anyway, that's just something that has been coming up more and more and more for me as I speak to some amazing people in my network who are starting to really focus all of their efforts into how do they support other people. I mean, I'm already, my partner Marissa, she's shown me a whole bunch of different organizations that are starting to mobilize, that are supporting people eating, like kids in schools who relied on a school meal for their real nutrition. And what they're doing, and like there are so many amazing people starting to step up now in a very interesting way, in a very hopeful way, that really encourages a lot more hope, at least for myself. It gives me a little bit of belief that, you know, we can shift our I suppose our selfish ways as a human species to support one another, to support the planet, to support our communities, and to be able to kind of get through this in a way that we can realize, like, the positivity and the shift in heart space and head space, and the shift in the way that we show up in the world, the way that we treat ourselves a lot, because that affects how we treat those people close to us, and how we treat our communities, and how we treat our country, and how we treat our planet. Anyway, that's a bit of a monologue, but yeah, I think it's really important for me, is to allow myself, and I'm giving myself a little bit of space and room to, when I'm feeling a bit anxious about something I've heard or an article that I've read or something is just to give myself the space to kind of digest it. And that in the work that I've done in my own process work is just to allow that sort of anxiety and that fear and that reality or that option or that possibility to exist. But then it's to get out of, it's to not live there. It's to move into something that might serve me better. So it's not going to serve me to sit and live in fear. It's only going to serve me to step into some level of action that's going to support not just myself, but somebody else or something else that might help change this a bit for people. And I know this sounds quite holier than thou, but I think the only way that we're only able to kind of shift from this is to be able to kind of, how do we play a part in supporting our community. I think that's the secret to this whole thing. I think that's what's needed, is to find that role. Anyway, I'm coming up with harebrained schemes that I can do. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be some stuff to follow. But yeah, I hope you're all being exceptionally compassionate with yourself around this. It's tough, it's tricky, but I see some really good stuff happening. Especially that clapping the other night. I mean, I'm in Oranjezicht, or Devil's Peak area, in Cape Town City Bowl, and the clapping happened the other night, and I wasn't aware of it until it happened. And then there was this loud, I couldn't really make it out, but there was this loud booming sound system that was going in the City Bowl, apparently which was playing our national anthem, Nkosi Sikelele. And it was after that I really felt like shit, we could turn this into something quite powerful. We really could. I believe in that possibility. Anyway, have a kif day and a week.